For 34 years, fans have filled Boston University's Walter Brown Arena. Tonight, they do so one final time. And these are the young men who will be playing in the finale. Those wearing the scarlet and white, and the #1 team in the country, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, led by the nation's top goal scorer, Ryan Potulny.
And it's all over. The Terriers are the national champions.
Over the 33 years of this arena, Jack Parker, 700 career wins.
This is a game we'll remember, win or lose, for the rest of our lives. I'll bet. I know I will.
It's hard to think of this building without thinking of Jack and kind of the same frame of mind. More than there just being one memory, I think that there's a whole collection of memories.
Tony Amonte and Keith Tkachuk, all these guys who played in the NHL, got dressed in the same place you did.
This place just has tradition and it has a sort of life to it.
It's so electric when you get in here, and especially the students. I mean, the students really take pride in this building.
Section 8 is the crazy section.
The noise.
It made a crowd of 4,400 sound like 8,800.
And you never take for granted what you have here.
Thanks for the memories, and thanks for all the great players that played here.
Before we end an era, we need to begin a game. For a final time, here come the BU Terriers taking the ice at Walter Brown Arena. And taking on BU, the #1 team in all the land, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. It's the 528th and final game at Boston University's Walter Brown Arena. The Terriers, ranked 13th in the country, host top-ranked Minnesota in this special edition of CSTV's Friday Night Hockey. And welcome to Walter Brown Arena, everyone. Eric Fried here, to be joined in a few minutes by Billy Jaffe and Dave Starman. This is quite an event here over these next 2 nights here in Boston. They're playing the final game at Walter Brown Arena here tonight. They'll move a block down the street tomorrow and open up the brand new Harry Aganis Arena. BU and Minnesota playing each night. So we say farewell to Walter Brown Arena, which BU has played very well in over these past 34 years. You see the capacity. It will be filled beyond capacity really here tonight at Walter Brown Arena. BU has won 72% of their games here, posting 31 winning home records 5 times. They've had undefeated seasons here. They've lost only once here so far this year. We welcome in Billy Jaffe, and this really is a celebration here tonight for the Boston University community as they say goodbye to Walter Brown Arena.
Yeah, those numbers give a new definition to the term home ice advantage. Boston University, the Terriers have done very well here in their very distinctive, a little bit smaller arena.
Now, when you think about what these two teams have done this year, and BU is off to a very good start. They're in first place in Hockey East. Minnesota, we all know, has only lost 4 times all year. What are some of the key things that stand out to you when you look at these two teams?
Well, for both teams, we've picked 3 elements that have helped shape their game this season. Starting with Minnesota, depth. Maybe the deepest team in the country. Starts in goal with Kellen Briggs, depth at every position. Explosiveness, 4 goals a game offensively, 3rd best in the country. They can score, and oh yeah, a ton of skill at every position. Big time highlight real goals. Now for Boston University, this is a very energetic team for Jack Parker. Young, scrappy, energetic, and also aggressive. The Terriers nip at your heels at all areas of the ice surface, and they're excited, and why not? They've got great young players on their team. Again, they're scoring big goals as well. They're giving the faithful here at Walter Brown Arena and soon Aganis Arena a lot of reason to be excited about.
Minnesota head coach Don Lucia said there wasn't a real superstar in this team coming into the season, but one certainly is developing in Ryan Potulny, the top goal scorer in the country.
Yeah, Potulny has been outstanding. Boy, he just scores a ton of goals on the ice, leads the nation with 19 goals. He's getting an awful lot of help though as well, but Potulny, a big-time player, and he scores goals at the important times as well. And he's only a sophomore, but he's already one of the leaders for the Golden Gopher team.
Now, there are some key departures for each team that we'll talk about, the World Juniors, as we go along, but one key player who's here, another good young player for Boston University, is Peter MacArthur, who's played so well for BU so far this year.
Peter MacArthur might be one of the best players in the country, and already in the slot area, that mid-high slot area. Outstanding sense for the puck. It's one of those players, Eric, the puck finds him, does a great job once he gets it as well.
Well, we won't be seeing Chris Bork here today, which is really too bad because he's another one of the Jack Parker's freshmen, but when they put the new building, when they broke ground for the new building, they were trying to attract players like MacArthur and Bork. they have them here, but tonight they say goodnight to Walter Brown Arena, which is a great thrill for all these players here taking the ice here for one final time.
It is a great thrill for them. The other thing that's really got to be mentioned, though, it's a night for the alumni that are here as well. And there are so many, I'm not going to say old, but older BU Terriers here, and it's great to be around them. And I can tell you that the young players feel that.
And here are the young players who will be getting the start. Let's turn it over to public address announcer Jim Pryor.
Your Terriers of Boston University. Starting at left wing, a junior from Abbotsford, British Columbia. Alternate captain of the Terriers, number 7, David van der Gulik. At center, a junior from Trenton, Michigan. Alternate captain of the Terriers, number 12, Brad Zancanaro. At right wing, a junior from Saco, Maine, a number 5, John Liberty. On left defense, a junior from Riga, Latvia, number 14, Jacob Bradleys. On right defense, a senior from Wayne, New Jersey, number 27, Brian Miller. And starting in goal, a sophomore from Shorewood, Minnesota, number 36, John Curry. The remaining Terrier players, the assistant coaches Mike Davis, Mike Garagosian, the associate head coaches David Quinn.
Those wearing the scarlet and white tonight will have the eyes of many former BU players on them. They want to close the building the way it was opened with a win. To do that, they'll have to find a way to slow down mighty Minnesota, who will try to spoil a historic set of games in Boston. It's BU and Minnesota on a special edition of CSTV's Friday Night Hockey. Thank you very much, Adam. And we are back here at what, needless to say, is a sold-out Walter Brown Arena. And one of the men of the hour, Jack Parker, standing by with Dave Starman.
The biggest thing that's going on here is playing the University of Minnesota.
Good luck tonight.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Eric, back upstairs to you. And Dave, thank you very mumuch. In goal for Minnesota, Kellen Briggs, a sophomore out of Colorado Springs with a 1.88 goals against average.
5-0 in his last 5 games, 15 wins, leads the nation. Very composed goaltender.
On the other side is a Minnesota native, John Curry, with a 1.92 goals against average.
And you can tell Walter Brown Arena has been very good to him. 6-1-0 at home. The thing that impresses his head coach Jack Parker the most is his composure in the nets.
You heard from Jack Parker, the 1968 graduate of Boston University. Don Lucia making his first trip here to Walter Brown Arena. He told us before here today that he likes to schedule to get around the country and see these different arenas. Well, he didn't know this was going to be a historic weekend, Sunday into Monday, here when he set up that schedule. John Gravelise from Hockey East, the senior referee in Hockey East, assisted tonight by Bob Bernard and Jeremy Lovett.
Nice assignment for all officials in this one. Trust me, they feel it as well. Very special night here at Walter Brown Arena.
You know, so special that I think the goal judge is out celebrating. We're waiting.
We're waiting for a goal judge.
You can't start the final game at Walter Brown Arena without a goal judge.
We expected the glass to break once, not the goal judge to be missing as we look at the series history between these two great hockey powers. BU leads overall 11 wins, 10 losses, 2 ties.
And a great back and forth series 1 year ago at Mariucci between Minnesota and Boston University. It'd be interesting to see what happens here. Not an Olympic-sized surface. Crowd's right on top of you here. Goal judge is making his way.
Goal judge is there. Last year, as you said, 2 games back-to-back in Minnesota, 5-5, both games. 20 goals scored in 2 games.
You know, they have focused on every little detail here this weekend.
They just forgot the goal judge. That's
building ready. And saying goodbye to Walter Brown Arena, and they have dropped the puck to begin the final game here at Walter Brown Arena. And right away, icing called with 10 seconds ticked off. Let's take a look at the Bud Light key line for the top-ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Well, everybody knows about the Petalny line, but we want to talk about Gino Geyer in between Mike Howe and Tyler Hirsch. And Tyler Hirsch, the junior, with 21 assists, leads the nation. Only 4 goals, and if his head coach, Don Lucia, can get one thing through to him, it's to shoot more. These guys give Minnesota that depth we talked about in the open.
Petalny on the ice right now, won that draw. That's touched before the red line, and again, another icing call here on Minnesota. Let's take a look at the Bud Light key line for the Terriers.
Now the Terriers lose Chris Bork. However, they get Ewing back in the lineup. That's Brian Ewing out with a shoulder injury. So MacArthur in between Radoslavich and Ewing forms a very formidable skill line for Jack Parker's Terriers. Ewing scored his first goal as a college hockey player just the other night against Nebraska Omaha.
And missed 12 games with that right shoulder injury. Returns against Omaha and gets a goal. BU trying to put pressure on after the draw. Minnesota gets it out of the zone, works it towards center ice. Brian Miller sends it back for BU. John Liberty takes a bump right at the red line. Chris Harrington works it all the way around. One thing Minnesota worked on in their very brief skate here today at Walter Brown Arena was finding out how lively the boards are here. Well, they plan on using some indirect passes here. Those boards had a lot of kick to them on some of those passes.
Which can be good and bad, especially if you don't practice like they did this morning, because if you make hard rims around the wall and you don't get to them quickly, transition the other way.
There comes Gino Geyer through center ice. Defenseman falls down. It's into the zone. Tip towards the front. Geyer's in front of Curry. Puck still bouncing around. There's the whistle. Stopping play. Some pressure put on by Minnesota here. And their first rush down the ice. CSTV would like to welcome all of our viewers in Canada who are watching tonight's game on the NHL Network.
Jack Parker watching this game from right behind that bench, as he has so many times before. Both coaches concerned about the first period, in particular the first 10 minutes of this game. BU from an emotional perspective, Minnesota from a perspective of we need to know really what this night means to Boston University, and we need to make sure we get settled in the first 10 minutes.
Don Lucia wants his team to be aware of the history and be aware of the importance of this weekend for Boston University, thinking maybe that could lift their game and be able to meet BU's intensity level coming out. Here's Weston carrying in deep. Work through center ice, touched once again before the red line by Tyler Hirsch. Another icing call, third of the game.
Well, there's no place like home for these BU Terriers this season. 7-1-0 record versus 4-5-0 away. Check out the goals against. That's what really jumps out at me, though. 3-5-6 away and only 2 allowed at home. They know how to use this smaller ice surface. They get revved up by the fans right on top of them. They understand the angles, all the things you're talking about early on in the game that Minnesota needs to get used to as well.
Terriers trying to knock it away. Gophers come away with it. Only for the moment. Now they get it back. Carrying through is P.J. Atherton. Curry goes back. John Curry, the walk-on, who was third on the depth chart coming into this season, had played barely any time before this season. 5 minutes and 10 seconds to be exact. And then after a really lost weekend for BU to start the season, Jack Parker took a chance on Curry and paid off. He's the #1 guy now. The Goff works it back around. Here's Kellen Briggs. He established himself as the #1 man at Minnesota last year. No doubt heading into this season who was #1 for the Gophers.
Yeah, he established himself really as that #1 last Thanksgiving in the College Hockey Showcase when Minnesota took on Michigan and Michigan State. Don Lucia said after that weekend, he's absolutely our #1 goaltender.
Saw Tom Pohl on the ice, the fourth line, getting some time for Minnesota as BU tries to break out. That pass can't connect. Comes all the way down for icing. Ben Gordon not playing for Minnesota here today. He's serving a suspension, so Gordon can't play here tonight. And also a couple of their excellent youngsters, as you take a look at Don Lucia, at the World Junior, so he's had to mix and match a little bit here.
And he's all right with that, though. He says, in so many words, interchangeable parts. I mean, how many times do you lose, 2 big-time defensemen, like Hagemo and Goligoski, but then you can put a guy like P.J. Atherton back in the lineup. That's why this team is so good. One of the reasons their depth is great.
Zancanaro gets it back, carries it in deep. Backhander goes wide. Schaefer waiting on the near boards to keep it going. Zancanaro, who's been very good as of late for Boston University. He's stepped up his game. Minnesota Whistled for another icing. Seen a handful of those here in the early going.
Well, and I don't think it's such a bad thing. Both teams kind of get in. They get some flow going. Maybe not so much on the ice, but they get everybody involved. And right now, both teams is trying to figure out kind of matchups, what each team's about. They don't play each other an awful lot, so they got to see what each other's all about. Boston University going to really be aware of Minnesota's transition from their own blue line through the neutral zone. Jack Parker very aware of Minnesota's great speed. He said we need to be very aware of that through the neutral zone.
Potolny wins the draw against Sancanero. Chris Harrington. Here comes Gopher. Stevens worked it out. Dan Spang sent it back. Helped all the way back in by Little Liberty. John Little Liberty has picked up his game's second leading scorer on this BU team. 7 goals, 10 assists on the season. David Vandergulik is the top goal scorer with 10 on the season. Battle in the far corner to the left of John Curry. Scoreless here, opening period. Sullivan lost his stick. Here's a shot from the point, goes wide. Kept in by Peltier. Works back behind the net. Chris Chucko, freshman with 4 goals on the season. Top freshman goal scorer. Number 18 goes after it back behind the net. Sullivan got his stick back, gave the bump. Working around the boards, picked up by Weston.
What a great play by McConnell. He handed his stick back to the defenseman who had lost it. That helped settle things down.
Well, Sullivan didn't get his. He got a little help from the captain, Brian McConnell, as BU and Minnesota play at Walter Brown. We're scoreless in the first. Welcome back at Walter Brown Arena. You know, it's break here, but I see a lot of students here in the crowd. They may have come back to make sure they were here to see this historic game. Let's go down to Dave Starman. All right, we'll get back to Dave in just a minute. Face off to the left of Kellen Briggs. Minnesota takes it out, center ice. Mike Vanelli. Offside. Gino Geyer was carrying it in, but the whistle stopped that play dead in its tracks. Minnesota is on a bit of a run here. Both teams really. Minnesota winning 5 in a row, coming off yet another win in their Dodge Holiday Classic. BU's won 4 in a row. Both these teams playing relatively recently. We were in Florida last week, and a few teams had a long layoff, but, you know, there's a little rhythm here for these two teams.
BU scheduled a game the other night here at Walter Brown Arena against Nebraska Omaha. The Mavericks, coached by Mike Kemp, came in for a 1-game series. As you said, Minnesota had their Holiday Classic, which happened right before Christmas, so not too much rustiness on most of these players.
Here's Brad Zancanaro for Boston University. Well, Liberty comes in to try to help out. Out of the zone. 10 days since the last game for Minnesota, when they knocked off Northern Michigan 4-1 after a victory over Merrimack out of Hockey East 6-2 to win their 6th straight Dodge Holiday Classic. Radoslavich takes a bump. There's Peter MacArthur, and the whistle by Lovett stops play.
You know, you mentioned earlier about a lot of players, or a few players here that aren't here. They're at the World Junior Championship. And this is the player that maybe could have gone there if he wasn't injured. That's Brian Ewing, one of the big recruits, part of Jack Parker's exciting freshman class. Scored his first college goal the other night. As you said earlier, missed 12 games with a shoulder injury. He's one of those players, Eric. He's got a ton of skill. Not that big as Curry holds on to that dump in by Minnesota. And he just has that great hockey sense. A little bit rusty. He's part of that freshman class, scoring a ton of points for Jack Parker's squad. But he says, you know, he's got such good hockey sense, it almost balances it off.
Face off to the right of Curry, who's almost like a freshman.
Right.
He's a sophomore, but you only played 5 minutes. There's Curry, knocks that one aside, rebound, sent high and wide off the stick of Jared Reinholz. A little bit of net for him to shoot at. Now Schaefer flips it out towards center ice. Radoslavich giving chase. Turned back out and kept in there by Ewing. The U backtracks, touches up, and now here comes Minnesota back the other way. Intercepted by MacArthur. Has to wait for Ewing to get back onside. And that cost BU an opportunity. Gary Talixon, he returned for the Holiday Classic after he had missed 8 games with an ankle. You mentioned P.J. Atherton back. Here's a chance for Minnesota coming in deep. And a penalty coming up, the first of the game, called on Spang for Boston University.
You mentioned Barry Talixon. Well, as if on cue, he cuts in behind the defenseman. A great long pass coming out of the end zone, of the Minnesota end zone. As the puck's going to move over by Atherton, it's Surdich with a great pass. And here goes the big forward, 6'4", 211. Talixon with pretty good speed is going to catch the puck in stride, tries dropping the shoulder and the knee and just can't get it off. A very good penalty taken by the youngster defenseman Dan Spang for hooking to help eliminate that good chance.
So Spang in the box, Minnesota on the power play for the first time here tonight. 6th in the country at nearly 23% with the man advantage. BU's penalty kill, 4th in Hockey East at just under 19%, 83% rather, on the season. They do have 5 shorthanded goals. Here's a chance. Save made by Curry, rebound hacked out of there by LaLiberty.
They love working that slot area, as you saw. Hirsch moved the puck over there.
Offside.
And as they move the puck to the middle, that's where BU is going to have to be very cognizant, Eric, of where their gaps are. Ehrman loves coming wide, and he's not afraid to go to the middle. Tyler Hirsch, not afraid to go to the middle. He likes to distribute the puck. So many weapons on this power play, like they come at you in waves.
Zancanaro, he's a one-man wave. The way he just...
He is a terrier. I mean, he's a rat terrier.
High definition.
Yes.
He slowed things down enough, but here comes a chance for Minnesota as Talixon carries in. Chucko worked around by Geyer, trying to get it back to the point. Vanelli and Peltier man the points. Here's Peltier, moves towards the middle. Looks to Vanelli. Talixon had an opportunity. There's a shot to score. Power play goal for Minnesota. They're on the board first.
Goal's going to be put in by number 7, Gino Geyer, but it was actually a whiff off the stick of Talixon, and his teammates give him a little nod as they were laughing at him because he misses. Watch it, the pass is going to come right point from Vanelli to Talixon. He whiffs, but it's actually going to be fortuitous because it's going to get over to Chucko, who then has it go off the heel of his stick. Almost a comedy of errors. It ends up in a 1-0 lead. As Geyer's there to pick up the rebound or wide open net opportunity, and a huge goal for Minnesota early in this game.
6th of the season for junior Gino Geyer, and you still give Talixon an assist.
Absolutely.
May not be very pretty, but it goes to the book.
Not how, it's how many, baby.
Power play goal. Spang is on the ice here. 1-0 Minnesota. Schaefer across the blue line, gets out of his reach, turned back in by Minnesota, all the way down the ice. For Geyer, now with 13 points in the season, and sparking Minnesota, perhaps. You see they've been pretty good when scoring first this season.
And it's part of that first 10-minute mentality that their head coach Don Lucia talked about. And yeah, maybe not the prettiest goal, but the fact is they were able to get their east-west movement going on the power play, something they weren't sure if they were going to be able to do in this smaller ice surface here at Walter Brown Arena. They did a nice job of it, and then a lucky bounce off the end of Talixon's stick.
McGurk, Monahan, fourth line out there. Briggs holds onto it, stopping play. With 11:57 to go here in period number 1. Minnesota, a power play goal at 7:19 of the first. Don Lucia's team on top, 1-0 here in Boston.
Back here at Walter Brown with Coach Jack Kelly. You coached the 71 championship team, and must be kind of bittersweet to see the building end.
Well, I'm wondering where the 31, 32 years went. They went awfully fast. Huh.
You take a look at this year's team. Your thoughts as this team goes down the road moving into the new building?
Well, you know, this is a young BU team, and I honestly feel the way they're progressing this year, it's not going to take Jack too long before he's going to be competing for a national championship.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
Eric?
Thanks, Dave. Good to have Coach Kelly here with us tonight. The first season here in that building was his last season as head coach of BU. Jack Parker would take over after Leon Abbott's brief tenure here, and Coach Parker's been calling this his office for a generation now. Penalty coming up. Gravelich has his arm up. The late call, hard hit on the inboards, and pushing and shoving afterwards. Well, we're going to have our second penalty of the game. It's a slashing call that's going to go against Minnesota.
It's going to be against, I believe, against Harrington. Big defenseman who's taken some penalties this year, especially early on in the season, that both he and his head coach were not too happy about. He was trying to play too physical early on in the year with some young guys in the lineup, thought that he had to play more physical. Here's a little bit of a look in the corner. He gave one slash and another one to the back of the head, and there's another third. You know, 3 times, and you're out. And then Harrington tried drawing the penalty at the end there. Thought maybe they'd call the embellishment, but they got him on the first one.
Into the all-tournament team at the Holiday Classic, but he's going to have to cool off for 2 minutes. First penalty. Here's a backhander. Weston tried to make the extra pass with Brian McConnell, the senior, setting up in front. Now here's where BU misses Chris Bork. He's been the point man on the power play. How do they work it now, Billy? Schaefer sends it through. Spang is out there with Schaefer. Schaefer could not keep it in. Thought he may have, but the assistant referee right on top of the play. The whistle stops play.
You mentioned, you make a very good point about how they don't have Chris Bork here to help man the power play, the point. And they have 2 distinct units right now. Spang and Schaefer, 2 defensemen, were just on the ice for Jack Parker's squad, and they play 2 defensemen, meaning separated. They like to make a lot of back and forth passes and then work the puck down low. Now this unit out here, Sullivan's taking the first crack at it along with Miller at the point, but look for MacArthur to sink back as well a little.
MacArthur gloves it down, top scorer, and high stick whistled. And that stops play. We'll keep an eye on freshman Peter MacArthur out of Clifton Park, New York, with his 9 goals, 9 assists. And they're pointing down the ice.
Yeah, stick above the shoulder. Anytime you play a puck stick above the shoulder, you're on a power play offensive zone. It comes all the way back. So face-off will be off to the left of John Curry right now. There's Peter MacArthur, one of the most dynamic freshmen in the country and one of the best slot players as well. He gets rid of the puck so quickly in that mid-slot area.
Got off to a great start, of course. A lot of the headlines were about Chris Bork, Hall of Famer Ray Bork's son, but MacArthur came in here and right away was the player of the month in Hockey East in October. Rookie of the month, I should say. BU is on the power play right now. MacArthur, keep it going. Fleming sends it back the other way. Racing over to stop it is Sullivan for Boston University. And that one is flipped up and over the glass, stopping play. BU is on the power play right now, and they have 22 power play goals this season, just under 19%, fourth in hockey.
And a lot of the reason is guys like Peter MacArthur right there, averaging over a point per game, working in tandem with Chris Bork. But what they've done is they've just increased the overall skill level here at BU with this freshman class. And because of that, their power play in conjunction, their percentage has gone up as well.
Kevin Schaefer carries to center ice. Knocked down by Talixon, and that broke up the play right at the blue line with 43 seconds to go on the power play. Let's squeeze in tonight's trivia question. Very fitting here with 2 of the most storied programs in college hockey history. Who is the first recipient of the Hobey Baker Award in 1981? I'll have the answer a little bit later on in the game.
No hints? Now, what kind of a nice guy are you?
It's either Minnesota or Boston University. Is that good enough? Whittles it down for you a little bit. BU carries in again offside, unable to get things developed here on the power play.
Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to move skate the puck up right through the gut. They're carrying the mail right through the neutral zone, and then right when they get past the Terrier at center ice, they're trying to make one of the wide passes, usually to the left wing side. Jack Parker, I think, going to tell his guys, and he was doing this yesterday in practice, move it a little bit quicker, because when you get tight into the neutral zone, Minnesota's backing up enough as if one more offsides is called. Talk about taking any momentum, any flow out of a BU power play right now. But when Minnesota's backing up and they get more bodies in that neutral zone area, it's easier for them to slow down the intended pass receiver, and therefore they cause the offside.
We've learned through the years being here at Walter Brown Arena, when Coach Parker's down there, that's not to talk to the players. That's his official conversation position.
Well, I don't know what he's talking officials about. They've all been legit offside so far.
Anxious to see what happens in Agganis Arena, if it's going to be the same layout for Coach Parker to get right down there and get his point across in a very delicate way.
I got a hunch Jack Parker figures out how to get his point across no matter where he is.
Well, didn't he do the blueprints for this new arena?
Yes,
I'm sure he came up with
He's got his own little station.
Short-handed here. Snaggart carried it in. And we're back to 5-on-5. Curry watching that pass right behind Danny Ehrman. Here comes Brian Miller. Miller takes a hip check, bounced off the boards on the near side, worked back around Stevens. The captain sends it up the far boards, out through center ice. Minnesota working it around nicely. It develops into a 4-on-2, just like that. Shot save, Curry. Puck bouncing around in the slot and picked up by Ewing. And a penalty coming up as a Minnesota player is down in the crease on top of Curry. Let's see where the call goes.
Going to be an interference call against Boston University as it's going to be Brian Miller on the back check. Takes down the guy trying to get to the front of the net. While we have a minute, let's go up to Dave Starman, who's with one of our own as well, Mike Eruzione.
That's right, we're teammates, Eric, in every facet of the word here. Mike Eruzione and myself up here in the booth. And, you know, Mike, one of the things is you had a great career with that Olympic team in 1980, known for that. Everybody seems to forget you had 4 great years here. You're the 4th all-time leading scorer.
And I love my years here. I was very fortunate to play under, Jack Parker in this building with some great players. You know, I played with Ricky Maher, centerman Jack Callahan, Dave Silk. Debbie Craig was a goalie my senior year. We had some great players here, and I'm proud of the fact that I played well here. And the Olympics was one thing in my life, but my 4 years here were pretty important to me, and it's nice to look back on them and know that I worked pretty hard to accomplish some good goals here as an individual as well as a team.
Mike, you know, one thing when we talk about this arena, you talked about it the most, is that you guys never really seemed to lose many games here when you were here.
I don't remember my 4 years here. I think we might have lost 1, maybe 2 games in 4 years. We went to 4 NCAA Frozen Fours. We won our league, the ECAC League, 4 consecutive years. And that just is indicative of the type of players we had here. And like I said, it's great to have been a part of this program, and it will continue to be a part of this program for many years to come.
Mike, thanks. We'll see you as the weekend goes on.
All right, David, thank you.
A former BU captain, Mike Eruzione. Eric?
Well, there's no question. There would not be Mike Eruzione Olympic hero if it wasn't for his time here at BU when he established himself as a great leader. Terrific defensive forward as well. I mean, yeah, Dave mentioned.
He didn't have to play defense. You scored so much.
Yes, you did. He played defense.
I asked if you remember hitting anybody. He didn't have to.
Here's a shot one-timer, and Hirsch can't connect.
Key point of the game right now. BU killing a penalty again here and already down 1-0.
And Minnesota working it around. BU back, centering, deflected in front. Curry clearing attempt, not all the way out. Kept in by Minnesota. Now Harrington. There's a shot off the chest of Curry. Goes to the far board. Sertic keeps it in there. Right on the stick of McConnell. McConnell can't get it out. Now McConnell with a chance to reach for it, but he can't clear it out. Kept in again by Minnesota. Harrington walks in, takes a shot, knocked down by a sliding Kevin Schaefer. Good play there.
Great play by Schaefer to block that shot. You're going to take a chance and go down in front of your own goaltender. You really got to make sure to get the puck.
Minnesota back very quickly. Curry save, rebound save. Eno sitting in front and cleared out of there by his teammate. Reaching in there was MacArthur comes back. MacArthur, penalty coming up against Minnesota. So that's going to even things up very quickly. It was Sean Sullivan who reached back, the defenseman. MacArthur quickly came back the other way, and there's a penalty on the Gophers.
BU smelled an opportunity, and their opportunity is going to create a penalty against Minnesota. But earlier, it was Boston University almost going down 2-0. Keeping the puck in, Minnesota crashes the net hard. There's Patoni trying to put in his 20th, but then the other way, MacArthur waits. Great play right here by Harrington. He extends the stick behind him, Eric, and closes the passing lane behind him. Ehrman on the back check takes down his man for an interference. So we'll go 4-on-4. 10 seconds remaining on Miller's penalty, and then BU will have a power play as Ehrman is in the box.
Minnesota has carried play here in the opening period, out shooting BU 8-4. 10 seconds to go on the 4-on-4 as the Gophers win another draw. Loaded up along the glass. Penalty to BU is over. They now have a power play. Redleys for the Terriers. Trailing 1-0. First period, 6.5 minutes to go in the opening period. Redleys flips it towards the corner. After it, Vandergulik. Vandergulik tries to come away, cannot. Picked up there by Atherton. And Minnesota will clear the zone. Still carrying the puck. And dumped in. Gophers with 4 shorthanded goals this season. Boston University has given up 5 shorthanded goals this year. That's been a cause of concern. Picked up by Briggs. He wants to clear it. Does so. Landed that sucker right on top of the red line and sent it down the ice.
A nice 9-iron. Maybe even a wedge.
Dan Spang through center ice. Roche works it around. Briggs settles. Now turns to set it around the near boards. A couple of Gophers there waiting. Geyer takes a shot. Rebound comes to the slot. Knocked off the stick of Mike Howe. And here come the Terriers with Weston. Good back check there by Geyer. Schaefer picks it up 1-on-2. Schaefer will take a shot. Briggs knocked to the side.
That's a good shot by Schaefer. Caught him off guard almost.
Schaefer gets it back. MacArthur at the point. Right into the defensive play of Howe. Weston gets after it. Zancanaro there to help. Here's Little Liberty looking for someone in front. Weston was calling for the puck, couldn't receive it. And Minnesota's Howe will send it back down the ice with 13 to go on the power play. MacArthur waits. Time for a final rush here for the Terriers, trailing 1-0 with less than 5 minutes to play. In the first period, Little Liberty onside, shot wide, rebound off the boards. Carried in back behind the net. Miller calling for the one-timer, carried out. Sent back to MacArthur. MacArthur, quick shot. Didn't get all the way through. They're stopping MacArthur's shots before they get through.
Gap closure. They're right on top of him within a few feet.
Near corner. Battle goes on there. Zancanaro takes a tumble into the corner. Penalty coming up against Minnesota. And Boston University will go on the power play when we come back to Walter Brown Arena. 4:31 to go in the first period. Gophers on top 1-0.
I think the biggest thing with the rink is how loud it is. I don't know if you notice out in the ice surface how low the ceiling is in the rink, and it's like aluminum, so it's really loud in here. I think that's the biggest thing, which made it so fun, is just the loud atmosphere.
Jay Pandolfo, captain of the BU Terriers back in '96, scoring 67 points that year, first team All-American. Yeah, how can you help but not notice how close you are to the ceiling? We can touch it here from the top row. Been one of the great features here. Keeps the sound right in here, Walter Brown Arena.
3,800 sounds like about 5,800, if not even more.
Redleys carries back behind the net. Playing here for 34 years in this building, moving to Agganis Arena tomorrow night. Boston University more than anything as they send it up in front. Roach had it knocked away. Miller. Another shot, again knocked down. Minnesota willing to pay the price here defensively, giving up the body to stop shots on net.
Both teams, though, allowing players to get behind them when they're killing a penalty for a long breakout pass so far tonight.
Roach still on it, trying to carry. Now needs a little help. Work back out to the point. Redleys. Miller calls for it. Miller off his stick, up into the crowd. One thing more than anything for Boston University, Bill, this is the last game here. You want to go out with a win, even though you're playing the #1 team in the country. I mean, that's some pressure here. You don't want to.
So they're playing for all the alumni.
Absolutely.
Jack Parker talked about it. He said, you know, our guys, they're on this team right now. The rink across the street, or down the street, Agganis, is really theirs. You know, that's what they're here for. But there's a lot of pressure to play for the alumni there, and there's, I don't know, hundreds of them here tonight. So they want to do them proud. Awfully correct saying that there's a lot of pressure on them to win.
And some credit here. BU's not playing a cupcake here to close out the old building and open the new one. They could have easily scheduled someone easy and get a couple of wins, but they're making an event with Minnesota here, winning his program in Division I history. Looking forward to Spang. Spang still looking, has it back. 38 to go in the power play here for Boston University. Dangerous pass in front of the dangerous Patolny on the penalty kill for Minnesota. Breaks back to play, and whistle stops play with a little under half a minute to go on the power play.
You have to talk about the power play right here, how defensemen are having a difficult time, it looks like, with entrance, whether it's through the neutral zone or into the offensive zone for BU. They're not sure, do I pass, do I rim it around and get after it? They haven't had more than really like one really clear-cut good power play through the neutral zone into the offensive zone. They're thinking a little bit too much. Jack Parker, I'm sure, will just talk to them and say, guys, let's get the puck in and then set it up. When they do that, they're more effective.
20 seconds to go in the power play. BU trailing here in the first period, 1-0. Miller, now some space and time here for Boston University. Miller, Redlease, Weston takes a shot, once again knocked down before it even gets close to Briggs.
Well, they're not moving the puck quick enough. They like to separate at the point man and then try and cheat a guy in off that left wing half wall for that one-timer there. However, they're not moving it quick enough, and all Minnesota has to do, quick little rotation from the box to the diamond, and they're in the gap space right there to block it.
Penalty's been killed off. We're back to skating 5-on-5. Near corner, in front, Curry. Off his stick, Radoslavich has it for BU. Center ice, throwing right to Tyler Hirsch. MacArthur after, Radoslavich in front. Comes to the near boards. And out of the zone. Tom Morrow had to go right through him. Curry comes out to play it. Calmly sends it towards the far boards, with Hirsch giving chase.
That was good poise right there. That's what Jack Parker's talking about. Kid doesn't get rattled, even though he hasn't played an awful lot of college hockey.
MacArthur takes a tumble trying to get into the Minnesota zone. Now Geyer, the goal scorer for Minnesota, with some speed, gets it in on goal. Curry knocked it away. Ewing goes after it far boards. Battle there won by Howe to Geyer. Here's Serkic. Serkic walks in and has it knocked away. Good defensive play there by Ewing to stop that shot. Point blank opportunity was denied for Minnesota. That one's knocked down by Ewing again. Ewing will work it back around the boards. MacArthur waits, watches what Geyer does. Now we'll try to carry it out of the zone. Again, kept in by Minnesota, sent to the near boards, closing in on 1 minute to play in the first. Curry save. Rebound comes out to Ewing. He can't clear. Kept in again by Minnesota. Seems like we've seen a lot of play down here on this end of the ice. And weren't we hearing something about a low ceiling? Puck bounces off the ceiling. Stopping play with a little under a minute to go. There's the goalie, Jim Craig. We talked about playing Minnesota, and these two programs have been linked through the years. You think about what they did through the 70s, 6 national titles combined between Minnesota and BU, but there's your goaltender for the gold medal winning team in 1980, who is a standout here at BU. 4 BU players were on that team, 10 players from Minnesota on that Lake Placid team, including head coach Herb Brooks.
Still hear him saying, "Where's my father?"
Vander Gulik through center ice, dumps it down, bounced off the attempted check by Chucko. Vander Gulik carries all the way around. Now we'll work it back. Little Liberty gives chase. Potolny lets him go. Penalty coming up here. Delayed call. It's going to be against Boston University.
I think it's going to be either a hold or an obstruction, holding the stick, or going to be one of them. Those BU in the offensive zone is going to be guilty of taking a penalty that drives the coach crazy. Vander Gulik will be guilty.
Coming up during our first intermission, we'll have a breakaway at the Field House. Find out a little bit more about the history of this 34-year-old arena that one time was state-of-the-art, but time has passed it by. We'll have an Orange Bowl update focusing on USC, and Dave Starman will talk with John Cullen coming up during our first intermission.
Starman's got some throat lozenges. They got him going tonight.
Great to have Dave with us here tonight, talking to some of the people who made BU hockey what it is. Started with talking with Jack Parker before the puck drop here tonight in the final game of Walter Brown Arena. Minnesota back in the power play. They scored their goal on the power play. Now they've scored again. Danny Irvin makes it 2-0 Minnesota with 4 seconds to go in the period.
Now this is a goal that, you know, really hurts right now if you're BU, and if you're Minnesota, you absolutely love, because this is their power play to a T. Again, movement of the puck, lateral movement, and then they move it down low. Danny Irvin gets his 13th goal of the season. John Curry, the goaltender, can't get back quick enough. Hirsch, he just always has a knack for what to do with the puck. He's going to get it back, and watch right here. He's going to move it down, right down there for the little tip. That's a set play, guys. That's not luck right there. In front of the net, going to be Chucko again, and then right there, Ehrman, I mean, just doesn't waste any time and launches upstairs.
How good has Minnesota been in the first period this year? They've done it again. They've now outscored their opponents 28-6 in the opening 20 minutes this year. They get 2 in this period.
And how good has their power play been? Last few games, it has been a big-time asset for them.
A good start for #1 Minnesota on the road, but they are facing a team that had an unbelievable second period last time here at Walter Brown Arena. We know BU can make an adjustment. Will they be able to do it here tonight? 1 period in the books. It's Minnesota on top of BU, 2-0. Now we send you to New York for a breakaway at the Field House.
Walter A. Brown, for whom Boston University's arena was named, was known as the founding father of American college hockey. He was the first to put U.S. collegians on the world stage when, as chairman of the 1933 national team, the U.S. beat the mighty Canadians for the World Championship. He was also there when the 1960 Olympic team, made up entirely of college players, captured the United States' first gold medal in hockey. He died 40 years ago, and since 1971, the Terriers have played hockey in the arena bearing his name. In those 34 years at Walter Brown Arena, BU has suffered only 2 losing seasons and has a home ice record of 361 wins and only 128 losses. The building holds many memorable moments for the hockey fans of Boston.
You know, my favorite memory is just winning. We were so successful here.
I don't know if I have one memory that stands out against all of the others. I think when we came back after the Olympics and they had a time for us here and gave us watches.
But one sad memory haunts the arena, the accident in 1995 of BU freshman Travis Roy, who crashed into the boards just 11 seconds into his BU career. Roy was left paralyzed from the neck down.
Well, Walter Brown Arena has been very good to BU and to me personally. If you had to ask me the most memorable moment we've ever had here, unfortunately is a negative one. Whenever I walk into the building, whenever I look up and see Travis Roy's retired number, I think of his accident and him going into the boards there. And that kind of overshadows a lot of things that have happened in this building.
Now Walter Brown Arena, with its memories, good and bad, is at the end of its reign as home ice for the Terriers.
My farewell message to this arena would be thanks for the memories and thanks for all the great players that played here.
I had a lot of great memories in this old building.
Thanks, Walter Brown. You've been a great host.
We'll miss Walter Brown Arena.
Thanks, Eric. BU is going to need some goals. One of the guys who knows a lot about scoring goals in this building is my special guest, John Cullen. He's the all-time leading scorer in BU history. They're closing Walter Brown tonight, and you've probably got some great memories of a lot of goals that got scored here.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I'm sitting with a lot of players tonight and saw the other players at the reception today. Just being back and seeing the new rink. I'm a little jealous what the players are going to be playing in tomorrow night, but a lot of great memories here, and hopefully the guys can come back tonight and win the game.
What's the key advantage of Walter Brown Arena? I mean, what made it such a home ice building?
Right there, that band. You know, where I came from, I grew up in Canada, a little town in Guelph, Ontario. I'll never forget playing and hearing the band and all the kids cheering for you. It was a smaller rink, and it was always sold out. So it was, you know, the fans are great. It was always loud, and it always got us up for every game.
The more that the years separate you from your playing career here, do you grow more to appreciate what you had here?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I say, coming back to see Coach Parker and, you know, David Quinn I played with. You know, he's not here. He's coaching the World Juniors, but amazing thing coming back. It seems like we were just on the ice here, you know, a few days ago, even though it's been a lot of years. So it's just a great memory.
John, thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much.
That's John Cullen, the all-time leading scorer in the history of BU. Eric, take it away.
Ehrman with his 6th power play goal of the season. Minnesota was 2 for 3 on the power play, out-shooting Boston University 13-5 in that first period.
And take a look, quality chances as well. Just 5 for Minnesota, but just 2 for BU. And out of those two, were they even great quality chances? Probably not. Schaefer had that one shot from outside that actually caught Briggs off guard a little bit, but that's been about it.
And something that's not in any stat sheet, the goal scored by Minnesota in the final minute of the period.
Oh, yeah, that's a killer. Anytime you score the beginning or the end of a period, just huge.
How about Danny Ehrman getting that goal with 4 seconds to go in the period? 4 goals, 2 assists in his last 4 games.
And last year, through 19 games, and coming into this game, 24 points. Last year, just 5 points, 3 goals, 2 assists. He's had more than that in his last 4 games. Talk about maturing in 1 year.
And I know we're in Boston, and if you use the term Big Three, referring to anybody but Bird, Parrish, and McHale, you have to look at the Big Three right now in college hockey circles for Minnesota, and the way that Potulny and Hirsch and Ehrman, they're each in the top 10 in scoring nationally right now.
Yeah, and they don't even play on the same line. That's the scary thing. They work an awful lot together on the power play, but still, they put up big numbers.
Red Lees comes in. Now this is one area to watch if the level of contact picks up a little bit, and we've got a penalty coming up.
Well,
I think it's Red Lees going off for Boston University, or is it a Minnesota penalty?
I think it's going to be against Minnesota. I think it's going to be against Potulny for a cross-check along the wall, as you were just talking about physical play. And it is going to be Ryan Potulny as he goes, sits down. And this is where BU is going to have to, first period, they didn't look that good, let's face it, on their power play. They just didn't have good entrance into the offensive zone. Potulny gets the stick up right there as he's trying to follow through and get through to the puck. However, sticks up too high. That was the call for the penalty.
McConnell comes in. Weston and McConnell close together. One Minnesota player without a stick.
Peltier,
the defenseman, gets one from one of the forwards here. Smaggard now the one without a stick as he watches Spang in front of him. Spang. Schaefer kept it right on the line. Here's a quick shot. Again, knocked down by the defense. That clears the zone. Smaggard calls for a stick, and BU unable to take advantage. And now they'll try. Weston drops it back. McConnell had to put on the brakes and reach back and poke at the Weston. But back for it is Peltier, who sends it out to center ice.
Again, BU making it too easy on Minnesota, killing the penalties. They rotate, they close the gap, they block shots. Yeah, you have to sacrifice the body, but they're making it much easier on them there.
Turnover, Minnesota with a couple of whacks at it. One was a little bit of a changeup that went wide of Curry off the stick of Mike Howe, who now leaves the ice. BU
indecision right now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pressure with a lot of these former players, and there's NHL players here tonight and guys who have won national championships here for Boston University in attendance. You got to feel that pressure a little bit, and you want to do everything right, and sometimes it's tough to do when you're facing the #1 team in the country.
Well, yeah, I mean, so many factors could be going against Jack Parker's squad, but I guarantee you the message in the locker room was, guys, the first period's out of the way, and that was always going to be the hardest period for this game. But it's out of the way. Now go out and play BU Terrier hockey the way that we play it this year, the way we played at Walter Brown Arena. And that's physical, aggressive, get into the offensive zone and get after it. And they haven't been able to establish that presence yet.
And the funny thing is, Don Lucia, before the game, he was concerned about his team matching the intensity level for BU in that first period because he thought BU would be skating about 3 feet off the ice. Well, they certainly matched that level of intensity. Compton, BU on the power play here. Penalty coming up. Delayed call, touched up now by Vandergulik. And a boarding call with 16 seconds to go on the penalty to Potulny.
Going to be evened up now, getting to the puck. Oh, they're right there. That's it. Vandergulik guilty of it. Here's live speed. Pretty good hit though there. Even though the defenseman they're going back to retrieve the puck, Srdych, was away from the wall. I mean, that's contact. I thought that'd be legal because he played the puck there.
So 15 seconds, 4-on-4, and then it's going to be another power play for the potent Minnesota power play unit. Here comes Hirsch with speed across the blue line, sends it back towards the middle. Ehrman, Hirsch, sends it back to Stevens. Stevens goes wide of Curry. 2-0 Minnesota here in the second period. Now Harrington back for it. Power play now for Minnesota. They get it set up. Plenty of power play time. 90 seconds to go in the man advantage. Sertic back to Harrington. Sertic gets it back. Walks in. That shot was deflected wide. Comes all the way out and kept in by Harrington nicely at the point. Harrington walks in. Zancanaro backs up with him. Harrington's going to take advantage, take the shot. Came back out to Hirsch. Harrington, a lot of space there. BU playing back on this penalty kill as Minnesota works it around, tries to find their spot. One-timer deflected off of Curry. Puck down, and that one goes wide to the near corner. Less than a minute to go in the man advantage for Minnesota. BU trying to and now clearing the zone.
They're finally able to clear the zone. What really has impressed me so far tonight with Minnesota's power play, besides the fact their excellent east-west movement of the puck, is their ability to corral it at the blue line and keep the play alive in the offensive zone.
Tolman takes a bump there from Kevin Schaefer. Tolman now with 19 goals on the season. Sertic was trying to set up in front, maybe a second late getting that puck over to him.
Yeah, he went stealth.
Sertic, that one was carried back over the line, so Minnesota gets back over, and that gives BU a chance to set it up and send it all the way down where Briggs, who has not been busy at all in this game, plays it. Talixon carries in, 3-on-2 for Minnesota. That pass out of the reach, and now shot high and wide. Vanderbulik come out of the box. He's out. He goes to the bench. Radoslavich comes onto the ice. Curry cradles that puck, stopping play. With 15:34 to go in the second period. Special night at Walter Brown Arena. We'll find Dave Starman in a very special place. Hope he had his shots when we come back. Here on Babcock Street, and Dave Starman standing by with some special residents.
Eric, the greatest section in hockey, college hockey, that is. Section 8 right here at BU. These fans are crazy. They're excited. They make life miserable for opposing players. They got the ultimate compliment tonight. Kellen Briggs shot a puck at him. They're trying to get him to shut up and practice. By the way, they'll be in section 118 in Aganis. Eric, back upstairs.
I knew there'd be an 8 involved somehow, so Dave, thank you. And that will be what we'll look for, the student section at Aganis Arena tomorrow night.
Some of those kids could have been section 8 the way I've seen them act in some games.
Atherton takes a bump. MacArthur trying to take it away. BU looking for a spark here to try to get this crowd back into it. Minnesota had a bunch of those icing calls in the early going. There was no flow to the game early on. Now MacArthur trying to find Radoslavich. Peter MacArthur buzzing to the side of the net and the side of Briggs. Throws Fleming into the boards. Kept in by Redlease. Follow the bouncing puck. Ewing's trying to. And it ends up on the stick of Atherton.
BU having a hard time getting to the front of the net there against Kellen Briggs. They're trying to play more physical, but Minnesota not buying into the game, and BU having a hard time matching the speed of Minnesota right now.
Yeah, Minnesota with the speed, the ability to avoid the contact, and do what they want to do offensively. Now Redlease one-hands it into the zone. 4.5 gone, 5.5 gone by here in the second period. 2 power play goals in the first period for Minnesota. They lead 2-0. Ryan Holtz dumps it in. Battle of the corner. Kaufman, who's been playing well for Minnesota, earning some more playing time as the season's progressed.
Interchangeable parts, it seems like, on this team. On Minnesota, that lose a few players, put a few more in, and they absolutely provide what they're missing.
Center ice, Sullivan carries in deep, stands on the shot attempt, stays with it in front of the captain Stevens. Talixon now for Minnesota. Talixon will send it in. Evan Kaufman, freshman, battles in the corner. Coming away, Geyer in front. Geyer has a goal here tonight. Here's a shot save. Curry, rebound bouncing around, goes wide of Curry. Still buzzing around the net. Minnesota smells it here. Comes back out. Vanelli waits, knocked away by Roach. Roach has it poked off his stick, center ice. And
too many men.
A whistle and too many men on the ice. Is that the call?
Yep, it's going to be too many men on the ice against Minnesota.
Well, BU will go on the power play. That gives me a chance to tell you that CSTV's original programming series, Primetime, is coming up. We kick things off at 9:30 with a look at Stanford athletics, focusing on women's hoop. volleyball and the swim team. At 10, it's on the Happy Valley and the Nittany Lions of Penn State. And to wrap things up, we go to Ohio State at 10:30 for a recap of the women's volleyball season, as well as a look at men's and women's basketball. CSTV's original programming, prime time tonight at 9:30.
2 men on the ice for Minnesota. Serving it will be the aforementioned freshman, Evan Kaufman. Don Lucia, their head coach, not happy. I don't know if you saw right before we went to the other screen. He was lamenting the fact to his guys, come on guys, play smarter, know who you have. And there's a system, you know, you're talking on the bench, you need to talk at all times. Defensemen say who you have and you call numbers out. Forward, same thing. And you only go out when the guy with your number is coming off the ice. But they're doing some repairs right now to the crease area of John Curry. But you always have to communicate. So now Boston University with yet another opportunity on a power play to cut the 2-0 lead in half. But they are going to need to keep it. They need to simplify it more on the power play, get the puck through the neutral zone, and regain possession when they enter.
As you take a look at Walter Brown Arena, they're doing one of the final repairs here for a men's game. This will still be a practice home in the home of BU women's hockey. We wanted to ask the players about some of their thoughts about leaving Walter Brown Arena.
This place just has tradition and it has a sort of life to it. The crowd is extremely loud in this building. The ceilings are low and the fans are right on top of you.
A lot of good teams have played in this rink and been very successful, and there's been a lot of big games that have been played here and have been won here, so I'm sure that people will always remember this place as a place where BU was a very good team and had some dominant years.
This BU team off to a 7-1 start at home. Last time they won a national championship, 1995. They've had 5 undefeated seasons here at Walter Brown Arena through the years. The last coming back in 99-2000 with a 14-0-3 mark. And Gravelisa's arm is up again. Is that going to be it for the power play for BU after 12 seconds tick off?
Yeah, it's exactly. Kind of penalty that Jack Parker, well, it's making him crazy because he does not agree with the call at all. He's saying he's just picking up the stick as Vandergulik was entering into the offensive zone. Now this is going to happen, Eric, right off the face-off. Watch, he's just going to try and hook and go into the zone there. You know, that's what they wanted the officials to call. To me, that's just kind of part of hockey. I thought that was a pretty good play by Vandergulik going into the offensive corner there. But they say that he inhibited the progress.
A lot of 4-on-4 time coming up. Then it'll be a brief power play for Minnesota. BU trying to get things going, and they're just out of sync offensively. Two-0 Gophers here in the second period. Waiting for the pass, one of the goal scorers, Herman. In front all alone and not able to tee it up was Peltier. Miller for BU. Sullivan. Center ice. Out to McConnell. Senior captain Brian McConnell trying to get that stick free. Ehrman couldn't hack it out of the zone, but fanning on the attempt to send it in the corner was Miller.
Not a lot of support for BU either. One guy might be lugging the puck, but then nobody's there to get it or help him out in case he gets pressure from Minnesota.
Roche carried it in, sent it high and wide. Now Spang. Spang with a little space will walk in, take a shot again, stop before it gets all the way to Briggs. Been quite a few shots off the stick of BU players, but Minnesota has paid the price getting in front of their goaltender. As a result, there's a 0 on the board for the Terriers here at Walter Brown Arena. Minnesota on top 2-0 in the second. It's Friday Night Hockey on Sunday. I don't know what day of the week it was when Jack Parker won career game number 100, but this week in college hockey history, back on December 30th, 1977, Coach Parker got number 100. Who knew that was just the opening stages of what has now led to 703 career victory.
On CSTV, we were here early December for a 700th victory over Boston College.
Geyer carries in, and that one goes wide of John Curry. Stevens works it around, centering pass, comes all the way through and down. 4-on-4 for another 8 seconds, and a quick power play for Minnesota. But last time, or late in the first period, I should say, when they were on the man advantage, they didn't waste much time cash in on that power play. 10 seconds of power play time here. BU has the puck, chance to clear. Redlease retreating. Not a smart play against this Minnesota team as Harrington keeps it in.
Well, he felt he had no choice. The speed again of Minnesota coming through.
That's knocked down. And now no penalty here. They play on. Sullivan carries in. Chops the puck. Zancanaro takes a shot. A little bit of a crowd. Harrington tried to block that one. Could not. Kaufman tries to carry it out. There's Zancanaro. Centers it. No one there. Zancanaro back for it. Spang there to help out. Tries to get it off the board. Can't. Ewing helps.
See, that's what I'm talking about, spacing. It's help support. Zancanaro had the puck along the left wing wall there, and Ewing wasn't able to get close enough to him. Tried making a long pass, easily intercepted by Minnesota.
Here's MacArthur. MacArthur holding, shooting. Save made by Briggs. Ewing keeps it going. McCarthy comes in. Backhander save made by Briggs. By far his best save of the night. BU keeping the pressure on. Radoslavich. Centering pass from MacArthur. I think he was trying to find Ewing. They couldn't connect. Here comes Minnesota back the other way, trying to make the Terriers pay after the best sustained pressure from BU all night. Curry's down. Puck's in front of the net. Now comes to the near board. Atherton waiting at the point. He's going to lead. Spang and MacArthur in the corner, and the whistle stops play. Face off to the left of John Curry.
Finally, Boston University getting something going offensively. Again, they get some speed, then they get a little bit of a cycle going. MacArthur's going to get behind his man. A little move to his backhand there, and at the last second, Briggs gets the right pad down. Great play by MacArthur as he recognized the fact that Briggs was going to try and swat the puck away with his stick. He brought the puck back in, but Briggs was there to make the save.
Through traffic, doesn't get all the way through to Curry, and now the arm is up. Another penalty coming up.
Oh, man. No flow.
Interference call is going to put Minnesota back on the power play.
Face-off win by Minnesota. They throw the puck towards the front of the net. Next thing you know, they create a little bit of havoc, and Brian McGurk guilty for the obstruction interference. Here's to take a look at it, and all it is he's trying to hold on to his man there, Jake Fleming, and not a bad call as Fleming can't get to the puck, and McGurk, he's just trying to do his job right there, McGurk. Freshman defenseman, another one of those very mature freshmen that Jack Parker has on his squad, just held on for a little bit too long there.
Minnesota back on the power play, leading 2-0 thanks to 2 power play goals. Harrington out of the reach of Hirsch. Back behind the net. Hirsch pokes it. Centering pass, that's knocked down. Now in front, Zancanaro with a chance to hack it out of the zone. Cannot. Kept in by Harrington. Harrington, that one got all the way through, and now BU with a chance to clear it out.
BU fortunate there. Zancanaro, I don't think he realized how much time that he had, and at the last second tried lofting a backhand. Very difficult to do if you don't have the puck flat on your stick and you're feeling pressure. That's what led to that turnover.
Sertic carries in. Ehrman works it over. Harrington, shot. Save made. And up into the netting, stopping play. A little over a minute to go in the man advantage for Minnesota, who's been excellent, very consistent on the power play all year.
And that was one of the keys that Jack Parker told me yesterday afternoon after practice. He says, we've got to be so aware of their power play and where we are because they're so dynamic on it. He recognized the fact that Minnesota can really hurt you with the extra man on the ice, and so his team is going to have to adjust and avoid taking some of the penalties. A lot of obstruction penalties in this game so far.
Peltier, Vanelli came up high on Curry, ends up back behind the net. Vanelli calling for it, instead it goes to the far boards. Now Vanelli trying to find Palicton. That's deflected, broken up by Sullivan. Contact on the near boards, and BU clears it out. 38 to go in the power play for Minnesota, leading 2-0. Here's MacArthur. Trying to slow things down for Minnesota, but here they come, getting it dialed up with Palicton. Dyer makes the pass through. Curry looks up, Minnesota celebrating. The goal light is not on. I have not seen the referee Gravelise indicate a goal. 3 Minnesota players had their arms up thinking they had scored. Curry swats it away. He's made the save.
That's called Curry power, as he's going to find the puck behind him. Good speed generated and puck support by Minnesota. Gets the puck into the offensive zone. And then it's going to be the puck moving down low, right there. Quick, you know, these guys just don't hold on to the puck whatsoever. Puck's going to bounce up and right on the line. Oh my, we might need to take a look at this. This is a great angle right here. Chucko's going to have the puck go up off his shin guard. Curry can't find it, and he covers. I got news for you. I think that's in the net. I think that bounced in the net, and BU might have gotten away with one right there.
Remember, completely over the line. We'll watch it again when we get a second, but Minnesota apparently had a 3rd power play goal. Instead, that's the time off the clock for the penalty, and we're back to skating 5-on-5 with 7.5 to play here in the second period. Minnesota shutting out Boston University 2-0.
Could be a real turning point if BU can take advantage of that.
Miller off the boards, trying to find Weston. Miller gets it back. Here's Roach. Roach takes a bump as he tried to dump it in. After they give the hit, here's Weston through the middle. McConnell got tangled up trying to head to the net. Back towards the point, kept in by Roach. Roach, that's knocked down again. A sliding play made by a Minnesota player. Trying to knock down any shot, any pass. Try to keep down the chances on Kellen Briggs. Briggs has made 10 saves here so far in this game. Now McConnell trying to work behind the net. Roach comes in to help out. And sent out towards center ice. Fleming races after it, and the arm is up, icing the call. A very close call in this game. No goal. We'll take a look at it when we come back.
Welcome back to Boston. Here is the controversial play. A no goal called off the shin guard of Chucko, off the glove, off the arm of Curry, and right there. I mean, my perspective is it all the way across line. I guess you can't tell 100% from here, but I thought so. Here's another look at it. Puck's going to go off the glove and in. I think the puck is on its side and in, but you know what? The goal judge said no. The official conferred for a second. John Curry gets the benefit of the doubt, as does his BU teammate.
And from where the goal judge is sitting directly behind the net, that's a tough one for him to see. Coming
Especially
straight
with the
down
puck on its side.
So let's see if BU can take advantage of Minnesota not getting on the board again. Still a 2-goal game. Third goal so important. Here's Ewing. MacArthur. He tries to cycle it a little bit. Back behind the net. Ewing tries to kick it out. MacArthur. Back to Ewing. Radoslavich in there as well. Radoslavich in front of the net. Now Ewing. Stevens went down, and Minnesota's out of the zone. Ehrman, a little bit of speed here. Ehrman takes a shot. Save made by Curry. Well, they don't waste much time, do they? Get back up the ice and put some pressure on.
When you're that fast, no time wasted whatsoever. BU on the wrong side a few times tonight. Minnesota on the strong side. Correct positioning.
Zancanaro carries in deep. He'll take Patolny to the boards. Little Liberty tried to find Vander Kulik. Chance here for BU as Ehrman couldn't clear. The Liberty gets it back. Shot through a crowd. Save, rebound, save, and Ehrman covers up. Lots of pushing and shoving after that play. But BU bringing some pressure here as we approach 5 minutes to play in the second period. Let's find Dave Starman with another special guest.
Thanks, Eric. I'm here with Kenny Roush, who's on the 95 championship team. And I guess when you play in front of crazy fans like this, it kind of prepares you for the pressure of the Frozen Four.
Yeah, it's not too hard to get up for a game here. It's a great experience. It's an electric arena. So many great memories.
Now, coaching at UMass Lowell, the assistant coach there, do you bring some of that BU tradition over to Lowell?
We try to. We try to bring some of the same systems and the mindset and what it means to win.
Thanks, Kenny.
No problem.
Eric, take it away.
Assistant to Blaze McDonald. Blaze, assistant coach here at BU. He knows all about the atmosphere as well. Kenny, a player here for Jack Parker. Here is Minnesota trying to work it out of the zone. Kept in by Roach. Roach sends it through. Goes over the head of Kellen Briggs. And Spang will go back for Boston University. Two nothing Gophers. #1 team in the country trying to add to their lead. Curry makes one save, a second save. It ends up in the corner. Couple of shots from Srdjic. Forward, back on the blue line. That depth that Minnesota has, some interchangeable parts that Billy has talked about as we've gone along here tonight. Here's Gino Geyer, open the scoring. 3-on-2 here for Minnesota, and the pass behind Hirsch, who is joining the play. Far corner, Miller and Spang battling for Boston University. Reinhold's coming to join in for Minnesota. Now Weston tries to get it off the boards. BU with 11 wins, 6 losses on the season, only 1 loss here at home. McConnell after it. Minnesota 15-4 this year. Their 4 losses all on the road this year. That's sent down the ice, and icing the call with 3:49 to go in the period.
Boston University has had trouble scoring tonight, so much so in fact that they have no goals, but in their last 3 games, no trouble whatsoever, averaging 5 goals a game, 15 goals, 4. So they have the offensive firepower. I think the real key though tonight is that Minnesota defensively, their positioning on any transitional opportunities against them has been outstanding, and they've been on the right side of the puck in the play all night long. And lastly, Eric, I think they're working not so much harder, but definitely smarter.
Stevens with a shot. That ends up in the corner. Minnesota's outshot Boston University 24-13 here in this game. Minnesota battling again, trying to set it up in front. Backhanded out, all the way down towards the corner, and icing the call. Coming up during our second intermission, back to New York for a breakaway at the Field House. We'll have analysis from Adam Wooden and an Orange Bowl report focusing on Oklahoma. And Coach Starman will stand by with Coach Cahoon. Don Cahoon, the head coach of the UMass Minutemen and a standout player here for the BU Terriers. I talked to Coach Cahoon a couple weeks ago about, his memories of this building. He said at the time, when they opened this place up, this was the Taj Mahal for college hockey. And, everything is new at some point. Now the Terriers are getting set to move into their new Taj Mahal tomorrow night at Gannis Arena.
Hey, everything gets old. Everything gets old eventually. I used to have a full head of hair.
BU carries in. Here's an opportunity again. That one doesn't get through as it was knocked down off the stick of Sullivan. Morrow comes in off the blue line to carry in deep. Trouble here brewing if Minnesota can get after that puck. 3-on-2, and here comes Cole, the freshman, sets it up in front, and a whistle, crease violation, I believe, as MacArthur went for a ride with Fleming through the crease. Gravelise is pointing outside the zone, so we'll have a face-off coming up.
Jack Parker's trying to get something going by having his defensemen, and he loves to have them crash into the play. And you said it correctly when Morrow dropped down left wing point. He didn't get to the puck, and he didn't hold up a man either, and then transition the other way. Could have been trouble, and it is going to be a crease violation as Fleming got in too soon, too early against Curry, so that's why the puck comes out. But BU is going to try and do everything here. The problem is if they don't get to the puck from the defenseman position when they're down low, that's going to give up odd man opportunities. It's too early to be Wild West gunslingers yet. Just down 2-0. They just need one good shift, one goal to get right back in the game.
And get this crowd right back into it as well.
Absolutely.
They've been quiet here, and that's
odd.
Yeah, and you know what? The team trying to focus on this game, that was Jack Parker's #1 concern coming into this weekend. There's so much hoopla and so much talk about the last game here and which players are coming back and how you're going to get enough tickets and playing in the new arena tomorrow night, that Parker wanted his team just to focus on the #1 team in the country. Minnesota was going to be standing in front of you a little after 7 o'clock Eastern time. Whether you liked it or not, you had to be ready for it.
And if you aren't prepared for it, then that's going to spell big trouble. The U's just had trouble. I just think they're out of sync just a little bit, but all it takes is one good shift to get that confidence back.
Batting back for it for BU. Now works it around near side. Here comes the dangerous Patolny. Pokes it forward. BU has a chance to come away. Zancanaro sends it right wing, LaLiberty. LaLiberty gets around his man. Zancanaro goes to the net. LaLiberty stick handling into the zone and shot it wide. Good move by LaLiberty all the way through the zone to the front of the net, but couldn't convert. Now Geyer working behind. He sets it in front. Tumbling down a bit as Harrington got back up to work at the Stevens. Final minute 15 of the second period. Minnesota led 2-0 after one. That's the score here late in the second. Stevens. Stop there. Hirsch comes away. Hirsch turns to the forehand, try to make a pass. No one was there at the far side. Final minute, second period. 2-0 Minnesota. Geyer and Ehrman power play goals in the first period for Minnesota. Pulled off by Hirsch, and penalty coming up. An interference call that is going to lead to another power play. Waiting to see which door they open up. While they do that, we'll tell you a little bit more about tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern. CSTV will bring these same two teams to you. They'll drop the puck and battle it out over at Agganis Arena. We're just going to take a shortcut across Nickerson Field. Agganis is right there. You lead. BU and Minnesota. A new era in BU hockey begins tomorrow at 7 on CSTV. TGI Hockey.
And I can tell you, I know you've seen it as well, the building is gorgeous. Brian Miller going to be off 2 minutes for holding, but the Agganis is absolutely an amazing building. They didn't forget one thing there.
Final minute. Remember, Minnesota scored on the power play in the final minute to end the first period. Harrington waits. Surdich. Patolny has it knocked down. Ehrman tried to take a whack at the bouncing puck, could not. Cleared down by BU.
BU's penalty kills moved way back on that one. They're really guarding against that cross the middle or lower crease area. And that's where the goals, both of them, have come from, actually off the goal line after the puck was moved through that crease area by Minnesota.
BU with 5 shorthanded goals this year. MacArthur with 2 of those 5 goals. That'd be quite a spark here in the final 10 seconds. They're not going to have that happen, though, as that goes wide of Curry. Ends up at the point, off the glass behind the net. Back out towards the far side. There's the buzzer to end period number 2.
Boston University is going to need to have their best players step up. Doesn't matter if they're a freshman like a MacArthur in the third period. Somebody's going to have to step up offensively, get a spark early on.
BU's best period this season has been the third period. They've outscored their opponents 21-9, but they haven't faced the number 1 team in the country this year. And they're facing Minnesota right now. We'll see if they're able to bounce back in the third, trailing 2-0 to Minnesota. Now out to New York for a breakaway at the Fieldhouse.
Thanks, Eric. Here, ice side with Don Cahoon, the head coach of UMass Amherst. And you were here when this building opened.
Sure was, and it's a long time ago now. 528 games, I guess. It was a fabulous place for us to be able to move into. Our program used to have to travel across the city to what was then known as the Boston Arena, now Matthews Arena, which is home in Northeastern. And we used to get in taxis at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to go to practice. It was a real pleasure to just take an elevator down from my dorm and come into this facility.
Is it special to not only have been here to play on the first team that was here, but be able to coach against the first team that's going to be moving into the next building?
Well, it's always fun to coach against BU teams and Jack Parker coach teams. Looking forward to going over to the new facility and bringing my team in there. I know it will be a tough night, but it will be a real treat to be in such a great facility.
Oh, a great facility on your campus, moving into another one in Hockey East. Don, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Eric, back upstairs.
Thank you, Dave. What a player. Coach Cahoon, 2 national championships here at BU. We'll see if his alma mater is able to come back in the third. We'll look at highlights next. 2 periods, shots, big advantage Minnesota.
And that's the stat we want to highlight because it just shows where the puck possession has been on the stick of the Golden Gophers.
Well, we're down to 1 day to go before Boston University has a new home. Agganis Arena is ready for the grand opening tomorrow night. We'll give you a little sneak peek on a tour right now. This is how it looked, in its infancy, but things have moved along very well, and here's a look at the finished product. We'll be there with you tomorrow night.
And again, it has everything you could imagine, you could ever want as a player there, including a bigger ice surface.
It's going to feel a lot bigger over there,
yeah.
even though it's 5 feet wider than the current surface here, just because you're right on top of things here, and it always feels a little narrower here.
Yeah, exactly. And a little more rounded as well. The corners can be a little tight here. The puck rims around. But it is just going to feel bigger in general. It's also going to feel a little bit better, perhaps, to some of these players. It's just going to have the amenities that they have been used to hearing about, but not having, perhaps.
Now 20 minutes away from determining whether or not they'll leave this building with a victory. The Terriers, though, facing a Minnesota team that has not lost when leading at the completion of 2 periods. Minnesota's on a power play. Another minute to go in this man advantage. Their 7th power play of the game. They've scored twice. Patolny try to make the move around. Hirsch picks it up. Hirsch carries all the way around. Now back on the near side, Harrington. Harrington. Hirsch. Harrington. Surdich waits, gives it back to Harrington. 28 to go on the power play. That's off the stick of Zancanaro and into the netting stopping play.
Harrington was calling for the puck earlier when Hirsch had it along the left wing, actually left wing side of the net, the goal line, and he wanted the puck. And you know, Chris Harrington has a lot of right to call for the puck. I mean, he's got 11 points on the season. 9 of them have come on the power play, and I've given him a power play assist in this game as well, although I imagine that will be changed because he was not the last one to touch the puck before that goal went in by Danny Ehrman.
Had success against BU in their series last year out in Minnesota. Goal and 3 assists. And a pair of 5-5 ties between these two schools. 5 seconds to go in the power play here for Minnesota. Maybe a final chance here. Chucko moves it back to the point. Curry knocks it away. Penalty is over. Back to skating 5-on-5. Redirected by Chucko just off the mark. Liberty. Center ice picked up by McConnell. Numbers here for BU. Sullivan. That's redirected towards the corner. That dried up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and they had the numbers, as you said, Eric, but they just didn't get the good rhythm.
Turnover in the zone. Here's a shot and a glove save by Briggs. Could not hold on. Play continues on as Minnesota tries to hack it out of the zone. Sullivan kept it in, but only for the moment. Picked up, and here comes Minnesota with Hallockson. Sullivan for Boston University. It's off of Minnesota stick at center ice. Played by Kellen Briggs, sophomore from Colorado Springs. On the other end is a sophomore out of Minnesota, one of 2 Minnesota natives playing for Boston University. Cross ice. MacArthur waits, shoots. That's knocked down before it got to Briggs. MacArthur looking for it. Top scorer for BU has it. Ewing comes in to help out. They battle in that corner. Radoslovic sends it back into the corner. 2-0 Minnesota here in the third. Spang has it at the point. He's looking for a redirection in the area of the net. Didn't get it. Came right back out, but he has it. Spang takes a bump. Radoslovic walks in. He's knocked off the puck. Goes after it in the corner. Crowd trying to get back into this game, but Minnesota played well in the first period with 2 power play goals. Took the crowd out of it. Kept BU at arm's length in the second period. Out shooting the Terriers 11-9. No scoring in that period. BU tried to bring the body in the second period. We're seeing some of that here in the third, but Minnesota won't have any of that. They haven't taken the brunt of any real hard hits from BU.
And for the most part, Minnesota's kept their composure throughout this game that has been so important, and it's going to be the big theme by head coach Don Lucia before the game. Keep your composure, understand what the night's all about. I think they've done a really good job of that.
Vandergulik away, back to Minnesota. Patolny takes a bump from Vandergulik. Sent towards the corner by Chucko. Now Minnesota, this crop of Minnesota players had never played here before, obviously. Last time a Gopher team had come here was back in 1989. BU win 1-0. Lucia thought this reminded him a little bit of Michigan Tech. He's trying to think of a similar rink in the WCHA. Try to get his players ready for this game. Zancanaro. Zancanaro carries on left wing. Has Vandergulik with him. Drops for Liberty. Never got to him. Liberty shoves his man aside. Gives it to Zancanaro. Sends it in front. comes to the near board.
Great back pressure by Minnesota. Great back pressure all night, and that's thwarting a lot of BU rushes.
Saw Briggs directing traffic in net. Been tested just a couple of times here tonight. Has gotten a lot of help from his teammates out on the ice.
He's only been tested a few times, and he's kept his focus. And that's a hard thing to do sometimes for a goaltender. Maybe not so hard with crazies like Section 8, though, yelling at you all night long.
Weston with a little behind the back pass. Trying to find some space. Penalty coming up against Minnesota. Delayed call as Weston goes after it. Minnesota touches up, stopping play, and a power play for Boston University. The door is showing a little bit of an opening here. Can BU get something going and push it open? Down 2-0 in the third. The final game here at Walter Brown Arena. Lots of special guests here, and Dave Startman's with 2 of them.
Thanks, Eric. Blaze McDonald on my right, the head coach at UMass Lowell. You were an assistant here with Jack Parker through the early 90s and helped him build a championship team here in '95.
Yeah, it was great being here. Learned a lot from Jack. My fondest moment here was when my first game as a coach. On the other side, Mike Eruzione put 2 milk crates on the bench that I could stand on so I could see the game.
Talking to Dave Silk, member of the '80 Olympic team. It's been 25 years since you were here as a player. Can you talk about how the culture of BU has grown here in this rink?
Well, it's, I think after playing here, I understand a little bit of the tradition and the excitement and the atmosphere of putting on a BU jersey, and coaching, I think, is, in some ways, it's a lot of fun, but in other ways it's tough because you want to get out there and, you know, sometimes your hands are tied.
Thanks, Dave. Eric, back upstairs to you.
All right, thank you, Dave, and your guest watching here as BU goes on the power play, down 2-0 here in the third. Just about 5 minutes gone by here in the final period. Spang moves to midpoint. Weston fanned on the shot attempt, still sticking with the play though. Work back to Spang at the point. Now Schaefer. Schaefer takes a shot. That goes wide. Race for the puck. Won by Roach. Weston goes after it. Roach picks it up. Takes a shot. Save Briggs. Rebound. Not cleared out. Kept in by Schaefer to Spang. Spang quick shot high and wide. McConnell sets up behind the net. Works it to Weston. Spang. Schaefer. Roach has to reach for it a little bit. McConnell calls for the puck. He sends it in front. Weston tries to hack it in. There's going to be a 5-on-3 here as Weston was rocked in front of the net as he took that shot. Another Minnesota penalty, and now the door gets a little wider here for BU to try to open it up.
Not only another Minnesota penalty, let's go back to this though. BU finally gets good puck movement on their power play. They rotate from 2 men up high, their point men real wide. They get to an umbrella, they get the puck through. Even though Schaefer's shot didn't make it all the way through, it helps start this offensive flow. And that's the penalty right there, as number 4, PJ Atherton, takes his man down. Weston with a hit from behind. A good call by the official there. But again, earlier, Boston University rotates the puck well, gets it down low. Roach had a good opportunity, and he almost, I thought, was going to get a cross-check penalty there, and then one back on Minnesota there, as you see at the end of the shift. But the official decided not to call those there. But BU finally got the puck in, settled down, and rotated it well. And I thought as well they kept their feet moving, Eric. They weren't standing still too much, and that's what led to some of their good rotation.
Crowd trying to pump it up here. 5-on-3 for Boston University for 1:08. And MacArthur came out to the ice. Timeout called by Boston University. Jack Parker recognizing this is the key point of the game as he huddles BU up, taking his timeout.
Well, yeah, and it's a smart play. It's a smart move by Jack Parker. He's going to rest his troops. They haven't been able to generate an awful lot on the power play until the last shift there on the power play. Not getting a lot of shots, getting the puck through to the net, not getting a lot of good movement. And what he's going to do is he's going to say, all right, fellas, here's our opportunity. He's going to set up a play for off the face-off, and he's going to try and inch his guys in. If they keep their feet moving gently and inch in, going to be a better opportunity.
BU trying to finish here at Walter Brown Arena with a good memory, and you see Section 8 coming to life. Rhett involved as well. Timeout is over. Boston University back on the ice, 5-on-3 face-off outside the zone.
Because defensemen, they said they came into the play at the end of after the whistle. That's why the puck comes out. BU power play 0 for 5 though on the night tonight. They need to try and generate something here.
MacArthur is on the ice. He's been right on the verge here tonight of breaking through a couple of times, it seems.
He's back at the point. This is usually where Chris Bork is. He's back there on the left point.
Here's MacArthur, carries in. Instead of dumping around, he'll set it up. 5-on-3 with Miller here. Miller fanned on the pass first to MacArthur. Worked it around. MacArthur shot wide. Vandergulik picks it up. BU wants to keep the tempo up, the pressure up here. 50 to go on the 5-on-3. They trail 2-0. Vandergulik to Miller to MacArthur. Zancanaro tried to set it up in front. He ran out of space. Gets it back to MacArthur. Peter MacArthur. Brian Miller. Senior works it to Vandergulik. Miller took a shot. Not much on it. Vandergulik trying to pick it up. Runs out of space. Takes it behind the net. 30 to go in the 5-on-3. The Liberty calling for it. Comes back out to Miller. He takes a shot through traffic. Sticked aside by Briggs. Over the glass. Stopping play.
Excellent job by Minnesota, though, keeping the BU defenseman like that guy right there, Brian Miller, back. They didn't allow them to cheat in because of their good positioning there. Jack Parker trying to get MacArthur involved in the play for a quick shot. That's what he wants the most. Miller's shot right there, saved by the right pad and stick of the goaltender, Kellen Briggs. They want MacArthur to have that shot. Jack Parker says so good Peter MacArthur is from that mid-high slot area. So look for him to move up here with just 24 seconds remaining on the first Minnesota penalty to get a quick shot off.
See Zancanaro moving his teammates around, and MacArthur had come over, and the draw was one back to where MacArthur was.
Chance you take, though. You hope to set something up.
Here's Vandergulik. And the near boards battling, trying to take it away, trying to get something set up. 10 to go in the 5-on-3. Vandergulik walks in from the Liberty. Shot, save, rebound, score! The door's open wide now. Brad Zancanaro gets the goal. It's 2-1 Gophers.
The junior from Trenton, Michigan comes through. He's on fire through December and now into January. Cross-ice pass. Zancanaro doesn't give up on it as he gets the pass across the crease from the Liberty. The pass is going to be stopped, or the shot's going to be stopped by the right pad, and then a quick hammer home by Zancanaro. The little guy makes a big play. 2-1. Now BU trails.
The junior from Michigan gets his 7th of the season. It was the 5-on-3. 5 seconds remained in the 5-on-3. So a power play continues here for BU. 40 seconds to go in the 5-on-4 for the Terriers, now trailing by a goal.
You want to talk about this place erupting if BU can find a way to tie it up here on the power play.
Spang works it around. Briggs settles, sends it out towards center ice. Dangerous play there as it bounces around in the zone and now out.
A very dangerous play, a little bit uncharacteristic as well by Briggs. Looks like the puck was on its edge a little bit there. Keep it wide and take the safe play.
Gambling there was Minnesota to try to get the steal. Now Schaefer winds and fires, redirected high. Spang throws it in. Briggs has it. Stopping play with 4 seconds to go in the power play.
Boston University getting some rebound chances here in the third period. 2 chances, and they have a goal. And what they're doing right now is they're deciding, if they've decided here in the third period, besides just trying to be physical or just trying to skate with Minnesota, they're just moving the puck. They're not trying to handle it too much until they get down low, and then they're crashing, and then they're making good decisions with the puck. Obviously, 5-on-3 helps an awful lot, but I like their poise on that 5-on-3 that they didn't get frustrated for the first 40, 50 seconds when they got nothing going.
Big draw there. Minnesota grabs it. That's it for the power play. Atherton's out of the box, and we're back to skating 5-on-5, but BU signs a life here with the power play goal. It's 2-1. Tom Morrow back for the Terriers. Now will the #1 team in the country be able just to snuff out that momentum like they've been able to do to other teams in the past? Dangerous here. Talixin turning, takes it away as Minnesota pushes it in deep. Radoslavich away for BU. Pressure continues from Minnesota. They're bringing a lot of it right now.
All from that turnover, though, by Ewing. Jack Parker said we're guilty of overhandling the puck sometimes.
Radosevich gloved it down, sends it into the Minnesota zone. Gophers have it. Back behind Evan Kaufman. In on Curry. Curry will keep it moving with Sullivan. 11:25 to go. Here in period number 3. It's a 2-1 game. That one's going to make it all the way down for icing. Walter Brown Arena made some noise finally here in the third. Brad Zancanaro with the goal to make it 2-1. We are back at Walter Brown Arena. The Minnesota Golden Gophers, #1 team in the country, facing Boston University, ranked 13th nationally. Let's check in again with Dave Starman.
Thanks, Eric. Down here with Chris Drury, a former BU alumni. And Chris, it must be nice to see the building packed last night. A lot of good memories here.
Yeah, it's a little weird being here and having it be the last game, but it's you know, it's still fun to be here.
One of the things about BU hockey, the fans, the building, the tradition, is that going to move into the new building?
I hope so. You know, Coach Parker designed it that way to carry over into you know, very exciting, you know, tight-knit building, and hopefully it lasts, and that's what goes on in the new building for the next, you know, 20, 30 years.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
A national champion and Stanley Cup champion. Eric, back upstairs to you.
Yeah, Dave's with all the big stars. You know, all-time point scorer at
Hey, when your
BU,
name's
all-time
Starman.
goal scorer. Starman can find the stars here.
When your name is Starman, you just get the star.
John Curry watches to his right. Geyer for Minnesota. He has a goal here tonight, as does Danny Ehrman. BU scored the most recent goal, though, to make it a 1-goal game here in the third period. Here's McConnell, senior captain. Sets it up for Liberty off the pipe. Lot on that one. Ended up on the near board. Out to center ice, Spang. Patolny. You hear the chant, go BU. We've heard it so often before here at Walter Brown Arena. Lazy pass out towards center ice. Weston has it for the Terriers. Weston takes a shot. Save made by Briggs. Gives up a rebound towards the corner. Now Roach takes a shot. Through a couple of sets of legs. Patolny comes away for the Gophers.
Well, you can just sense a whole different attitude coming out of the BU, or off of the BU bench. They are being aggressive and they are initiating the attack.
High sticking call as that puck was settled down. That stops play. They're going to bring the face-off all the way back in the BU zone. Great opportunity here for BU.
Pass out of the corner by the captain, McConnell. A quick shot. Liberty's going to try and get the puck up, and he does get it up. Planks off the crossbar. Otherwise, we have a 2-2 game. Briggs going down there, trying to find the puck, and that was a wicked shot. Past the glove side. Unfortunately, if you're a BU fan, hit the post.
MacArthur on for the Terriers. He wins the draw. Ewing giving chase, and Atherton there to knock it back.
Now BU's getting their wave of attack, and they're getting their defensemen joining the rush like they used to.
Radosevich takes a shot through traffic. That's knocked down by Briggs. Ewing picks it up, tries to move to the net. Ewing still with it, centering pass. MacArthur sent it off the side of the net. BU really buzzing, best energy they've had all night here. MacArthur, Morrow shattered his stick on the shot. He's stickless as Minnesota breaks back the other way. Morrow's going to have to use his body to slow Fleming down. Does that. Here's a shot save made by Curry. Rebound comes down to Sullivan. Surdich came flying in and put the shot on net. Curry up to the challenge.
Normally a forward, Surdich can play defense very well, but he has that offensive instinct because he is normally a forward. He got in.
Zancanaro ahead of Vandergulik. Goes after the puck. Will carry all the way around, centering pass, came through the crease, back to the point towards Miller. Miller dumps it in. 8.5 to go here, third period. Minnesota hanging on to a 2-1 lead. Miller to Redley. Redley, Zancanaro. Zancanaro fed it off to Liberty, carried in. He was knocked off the puck, and Minnesota gets it out of the zone. Alexson, Evan Kaufman He bumps Redley to the corner. Talented has it. Kaufman goes to the net. Line holes out there as well. That third line for Minnesota keeping the pressure on. Comes back to the point. Talented gets it back. Zancanaro after it. Puts it back behind the net. Curry lets it go. Centering pass deflected by Vander Gulik out of the zone. Peltier. He'll carry in. Peltier. Calling for it was Erman. And heading towards the net. Penalty coming up on Boston University. Costly call here as Minnesota, with 2 power play goals tonight, will go back on a man advantage and a chance to quiet things down here at Walter Brown Arena. Brian Miller goes off. It's Minnesota on the power play when we come back to Boston. Let's take you back to tonight's trivia question. Who was the first recipient of the Hobey Baker Award in 1981? The answer, Neil Broughton of the Minnesota Golden Gophers. 17 goals, 71 points in a memorable season. He had 2 memorable years in Minnesota with an Olympic gold medal sandwiched in between, the first of 4 Hobey winners from Minnesota. BU has had 1 Hobey Baker Award winner. Dave Starman talked to him just a couple of minutes ago, Chris Drury. Minnesota now on the power play, leading 2-1 here in the third period. Less than 7.5 to go in the third. Both for goals coming on the power play in the first period. Pass behind Hirsch. Hirsch back after it. Erman there, scored on the power play. With 4 seconds to go in that first period to give Minnesota a 2-0 lead. Poked out of the zone, Razoslovich chasing Hirsch. Will kill some time off. Here comes Potulny. Very dangerous, centering pass knocked down by Tom Morrow. Harrington goes in to try to keep it alive, comes out towards the middle. Vander Gulik turns, Zancanaro's calling for the puck. Loaded up the far boards as Zancanaro goes after it. He'll chew up some more time as he'll try to cover up that puck, maybe even try to draw a penalty. Still down there, you see all 5 Minnesota skaters huddling around him, and Zancanaro, the Rat Terrier, won't give up. And we mean that in the nicest of ways as he turns and fires one wide. Vander Gulik has it. Vander Gulik back on the puck. Down to 40 to go on the power play. Potulny knocks him down. Vander Gulik not done yet. But now it comes out to Andy Sertic.
And the way the game's been called, I would have thought that would have been a penalty right there.
Back down the ice. Big hit. Briggs settles. Here's MacArthur. He delivers a hit. Not as big as the last one. Crowd making some noise here again at Walter Brown Arena. Less than 6 minutes to play. Geyer slowed down. 12 to go on the power play.
Boston University, this is their best sustained hockey of the night. The last about 5-6 minutes. Besides getting the goal, their skating's been outstanding.
Geyer with a little bit of space. Wrist shot as the power play expires. Save made by Curry. Back to 5-on-5, and Minnesota still with the advantage here in the zone. Curry makes the save, and it goes up and out of play. Shot from sophomore Mike Vanelli at the point. Face-off coming up in the BU zone with 5:31 to go here in the third.
Boston University fans cheering on their team. Guys like Brad Zancanaro have been outstanding, not just in this game, but this season. Scored tonight his 7th goal on the season. He's a kid who's put on some weight during the offseason. He's gotten a bit quicker, and he's taken command and control of his game, earning a lot more ice time.
It's not just the goals. You saw in that penalty kill what he's able to do. A little bit of everything here, having a terrific year, as you mentioned.
Goals are a bonus.
Roche carries in. One-handed here. Gonna need some help. Spanks setting up at the point for BU. Waiting to see if it comes out of there. McConnell lurking as well. Picked up Weston. Weston. Roche after it. Here's Spank. Pinches in. 5 minutes to play. Third period here at Walter Brown Arena. The final game here after 34 years. The home of BU hockey. The Terriers moving to the new Agganis Arena tomorrow night. Will they play Minnesota? BU trying to go out a winner here in the last game here at Walter Brown. Vander Gulik. Will shake and bake before the blue line. Minnesota has nothing to do with that. Maggard gets bumped. Sertic looking for it. Picked up by LaLiberty. LaLiberty looking to make the pass. Takes a shot wide. Vandergulik works along the board. Sullivan coming to help out. They cover up. And the whistle stops play. Assistant referee comes in to help the referee, John Gravelis. They're pointing outside the zone for this draw, it would appear.
I think they're saying that one of the BU players intentionally fell on top of it when the scrum was along the wall. That's why the play will come out. LaLiberty with a good shot there, trying to go upstairs. A lot of BU players, Jack Parker's squad, they've been going upstairs on the goaltender, Briggs. Briggs had to work on last season coming into this year, standing up a little bit more. He's done that, but still BU must have seen something. They keep shooting high on him.
Here's Morrow. Zancanaro back on the ice. Sends it in deep. LaLiberty gives chase behind Briggs. Briggs calmly sends it up the near boards. Minnesota gets it out to center ice. Tom Morrow. 4 minutes to play. Third period. 2-1 Minnesota on top of Boston University. MacArthur tries to split defenders. Comes in deep. No call. You know the crowd here wanted something called. MacArthur gets it back. Tries to move around Geyer. Radosevich watches it go to Sullivan. Now Sullivan pokes it around, comes all the way to the far side, but took a friendly bounce out to Tyler Hirsch. Center ice, Morrow tangles up his man. Here's Radosevich. Near corner, MacArthur goes after it, no help coming. And backtracking is Schaefer. Crowd again trying to get the Terriers over the hump here against Minnesota. Roche back for it. Far side, McConnell waits for it. Atherton was there waiting with McConnell. Sertic back for it. McConnell tried to hit him. Missed the target. Spang comes off the boards. That's knocked away, and here comes Erman. Center ice. Now past Schaefer. Patolny hacks at Schaefer a little bit. Hits him into the corner. Now Erman comes away. Looking back for Patolny behind the net. Sertic. Chucko lets it go, comes all the way around to Roach. Sertic back the other way. And a whistle. Is that delivered before the red line?
No, just going to call it just, I believe, just a regular offsides.
Okay.
It's going to be a regular offsides. Boston University players starting to feel it a little bit right now as they have 2.5 minutes remaining. Try to find a way to tie this one up. The third period has been their best period for sure, Eric, as the first period a little discombobulated, using the word that their head coach Jack Parker used yesterday. They've gotten better as the game's gone on.
Remarkably, Sasquatch, one of the fixtures here at Walter Brown Arena, couldn't get a seat in Section 8 for this game. He was over with the band, but he's got the shirt off, so that's the final straw here for BU to help them get over the top. Here's Curry. Miller. Redley. Vandergulik far side. Comes all the way through to Miller. Miller with a little bit of speed here and space. Takes a shot saved by Briggs. Picked up there by Derek Peltier. Peltier will just carry right out, dump it in. Less than 2 minutes to play here in the third. And Peltier must not have gained the red line. That was pretty close.
They're very close. Officials, though, they want it done perfectly, and right now Boston University gets an offensive zone face-off. Face-off's pretty tight in this game. They've been pretty even. Nobody really dominating. With an opportunity, though, for BU to set things up. We've got to keep our eye on John Curry. Just 1:46 remaining.
Face-off in the Minnesota zone. Geyer wins the draw. Back around to Howe. BU trying to work that possession. MacArthur set his man down. Here's a 2-on-1 here now. Geyer waits. Backhanded pass. Radosevich back-checking, knocks it away. BU counterattacking the other way with 1:23 to go. Curry leaves the net and heads to the bench. Extra attacker comes on for Boston University. The net is empty. Minnesota was taking stock in their own zone as BU had dropped back. Now McConnell sends it in. Weston with the bump. McConnell trying to pick it off. Near boards Howe. Howell's been on the ice for a little while. Comes back, here's McConnell. McConnell waits, gives it off. Miller shot wide.
Got handcuffed on that pass. He had to shoot it up high.
Final minute, third period. Extra attacker on for the Terriers. They trail 2-1. That's off the skate, now the zone. Bad break there for BU as it comes all the way down the ice. Miller plays it, gives Minnesota a chance to get fresh skaters on the ice. 35 seconds to go. Centering pass, no one home. Race for the puck. Sliding and hitting it into the boards. Minnesota kept it there with Harrington. Flipped up and down the ice, and the empty net is there for Erman to take, and he missed it. He missed the empty net. 20 seconds to go. BU has another line. Potolny can't keep it at the point. Here's Vandergulik for the Terriers. Winding, firing, save made by Briggs.
That's it. We're all done. Jeremy, go work on the pile. We don't need you guys here.
An opportunity for Minnesota to salt this one away and skate out of Walter Brown Arena with the guaranteed victory. And you want it on one of your best players. Stick Danny Erman already with 1 goal in this game. He's going to see that one forever. He's going to say, oh my, could have had an easy one there to close out Walter Brown. And then the other direction, a slap shot from Vandergulik met by the chest of Kellen Briggs keeps us a 2-1 game. But I can't tell you how many times I've been involved in games, seen games, whatever, where one team has an opportunity to put it away on the empty net, and then they don't do it, only to have the other team come down and tie it up.
13.3 seconds to play. Third period, face-off to the right of Briggs. Assistant referees trying to sort things out here. Referee Gravelise comes in. He gives some instruction. Here's the draw. Again, not squared away yet. Everybody looking for an advantage on the faceoff. McConnell on the draw for BU, wins it. Sullivan sends it towards the net. MacArthur was charging there. 7 seconds to go. In front, bouncing around, turning, shooting it wide. The race for the puck. Weston, can he turn and get off a final shot? No! And Minnesota hangs on to win the final game at Walter Brown Arena. But say this for the Terriers. They made the #1 team in the country work hard for it here tonight.
They worked very hard for it, especially in the third period. Danny Erman from Minnesota, our player of the game with a goal of, could have had 2 tonight, but just 1. And Brad Zancanaro on the other side for the Terriers. He did have a goal tonight, and he was Mr. Energy for the BU Terriers all evening long.
Minnesota was in control of this game. BU battled back, and it went down to the final seconds, but Don Lucia's team hangs on. Minnesota wins it 2-1. Back after this. Well, the Gophers spoiled the party here at Walter Brown Arena, didn't they? The #1 team in the country wins it 2-1. The BU Terriers have made their way around the ice to pay a final salute to the fans here at Walter Brown Arena as the Terriers have played their final game here in this building. After 34 years, they're moving over to Agganis Arena tomorrow night to take on Minnesota, and they're bringing out, if there's a great here who played at BU, and we heard from many of them here tonight, they're making their way out into the ice right now for a final photograph here at Walter Brown Arena.
And a very emotional night, and I think it affected Boston University early on in this game. I don't think they had their legs. They're a better skating club than they showed in the first period. It took them until the third period to really get going. They put up a valiant effort to get back into it, but Minnesota, give them credit. They never backed down, and defense very solid.
The BU players waiting for the BU alums to make their way on the ice, and we see them coming out now. We heard from Mike Eruzione earlier, and we know Chris Drury's here, and Tuukka Hoon. I see Travis Roy has made his way onto the ice for this final photo. Jim Craig. There is Mike Eruzione. All the players who have been with BU. And one final team photo here at this place.
And a huge, get that wide angle lens. Big team photo for sure. A great night. I know though BU, the current players, looking forward to opening tomorrow night.
And we will be there with you tomorrow night as the Golden Gophers and the Terriers take it down the street for the first game at Agganis Arena. Our final score, Minnesota 2, Boston University 1. For Billy Jaffe, Dave Starman, and our crew, I'm Eric Freed. For more, log on to collegesports.com, the ultimate destination for scores, news, highlights, and analysis. This has been a presentation of CSTV, #1 in college sports. Join us tomorrow at Agganis Arena as Minnesota and Boston University meet again. For the final time, we say good night from Walter Brown.
Short-handed MacArthur, he scores!
You never take for granted what you have here.
Thanks for the memories and thanks for all the great players that played here.